Hi guys, welcome back to Geeks 40k channel and welcome to a very special battle report as we welcome back the legend that is Winter SEO to the channel.
Hello.
He has brought his Mechanicum with him in a Horus Heresy game. Welcome to one of the outlying worlds of the Ultramar system. Mechanicum have arrived. They're looking at destroying the Ultramarines that are on this planet. The Avenging Sun himself cannot let this happen, so Gulliman is taken forth to the battlefield. Mission, we are doing Shattered Strike, and deployment, we are doing Dawn of War. HQ for the Ultramarines today, I am taking a Praetor. He is equipped with a combi blaster and a chain fist and is wearing his Cataphractii Terminator armour. Second HQ choice, I am taking a Chaplain. He is equipped with a plasma pistol. Over to troops, I am taking 3 tactical squads of 10 man, all equipped with bolters. The sergeants are equipped with artificer armour and a power sword, just to give them a little bit more survivability on the battlefield. Over to elites, I am taking my Cataphractii Terminator squad. These are all equipped with chain fists. Hopefully going to be getting into the Mechanicum and ripping them apart a little bit. Next elites, I'm taking my Contemptor Dreadnought. This is a Melter and the Power Fist. And then finally for the elites, I'm taking my Invictara squad. Now these guys are beasts. I love this squad. I am actually thinking about going to buy another 5 of these. We'll just have to see how about expanding this squad a little bit later on, I think. Fast attack, I'm taking my Scimitar jet bike. So if you've been watching the Road to 30k that I do, this is the last squad that I finished. This is their first battle, so I'm sure there'll be new mini syndrome and they'll be slamming into buildings and the floors and God knows whatever else they'll be doing. Hopefully though, with one guy with Volkite and 2 heavy bolters, they should cause some damage to any of the squishy troops that Winters manages to take. Finally, heavy support, I'm taking my Scorpius Pattern Whirlwind and my Spartan. So hopefully moving up the battlefield and dropping off the Invictara squad and then the Scorpius laying down nice shells across the battlefield. So inside of the Spartan, I am going to be taking the Avenging Sun, Rabute Gulliman. He is coming out to play today. He is leading the force. He will be in control of the Ultramarines on the field.
This is 2,300 points of Legio Cybernetica from the Mechanicum Tagmata army list. What a mouthful. Right, the Legio Cybernetica is a form of Mechanicum Tagmata where you need to bring an Archmagos Dominus as your warlord. So here he is with a Rad Cleanser and a certain minimum number of Cybernetica in your slots. This gives the Cybernetica +1 initiative and increases the range of the Cortex controller from 12 inches to 24 inches. So it stops them running off when you don't want them to and hitting enemy units. Sometimes it's very hard to keep your robots under control. So that's why I brought Legio Cybernetica along. It helps me keep them in check. I don't like them running off all over the place. So this unit is stock with the Mauler pattern bolt cannons. This unit has got 2 Darkfire cannons, there's a Vorax and there's 2 Thanatars. I've given the Thanatars and the Castellax all enhanced targeting, so that's +1 ballistic skill, -1 to your opponent's cover saves. They're going to be fruity. There's also a second in command here. This is an Archmagos Prime Malagra with a Cyber Familiar, a Macandrite Harness, a Mastercrafted Power Axe and Rag Grenades and an Abiant. What does that all mean? Well, it means he's got a 2+ save, a 3+ in Vun. He's toughness 6, 4 wounds. It will not die. Beast. And he's got a base 5 attacks. 6 attacks. 2 of them with Shred. They're all unwieldy. And they're all AP2. And I like him. And he's my second in command because he's going to be running up the field and punching stuff. A note on the Cybernetica. None of them can score, Richard. Really? They don't count as scoring units, but they do count as denial units. So this is my scoring options. There's a unit of 4 Thalax with a Photon Thruster. There's 4 Myrmidons, 2 with phased plasma fusils. These 3 things at the back, those are multi-laser tarantulas, turrets essentially. They'll have to adopt a certain firing mode. But if one of these are within 6 or 12 inches of them, they can overrule that firing mode. And then I've got 40 Fearless Ad Secularis Covenant with Rite of Pure Thought and Carapace armor. So it's big, it's nasty, and I really, really don't want to shoot Ultramarines because I'm normally the good guy. I like Ultramarines. Can we say this is a training exercise, please?
The first of the tactical squads are deployed on the right-hand side of the battlefield. Now, because we're doing Shatter Strike, we need to get up into the enemy deployment zone. So we actually kind of have a little bit of a free run on the right-hand side of the board. It's basically just going to be meet in the middle, kill, try and walk past, and get into the deployment zone. Because the right-hand side of the board is quite sparse of enemy, I'm quite lucky because there is the second of the tactical squads with the chaplain just hunkered down inside the ruins of this building, looking at making their way up through the rubble of the former glorious city of Ultramar, getting into that deployment zone as quickly as they can, securing me 2 victory points because they are objectives secured. Next to them and moving up with them through the building will be my Praetor and the Terminator squad, looking at getting their chain fists into combat with the big, nasty, horrible robots as quickly as possible. But they will also be supported by the Contemptor Dreadnought with his Power Fist and the Melter, hopefully destroying off as much as he can on their way up. Next to them is the Spartan. In there is the Invictaris squad and Rubute himself. Again, this is a big hammer for the Ultramarines. Having their Primarch on the field is a positive, it's a good thing, and I'm hoping, as it's the first time I've used him, that he'll actually manage to prove his worth and prove his pointage. Behind the Spartan, using it as a rolling roadblock and a rolling cover, is the third and final tactical squad that obviously need to get up. So these guys are on their own, there is nobody with them, so they're literally going to go. New squad, my Scimitar jet bikes are on the left hand side of the board, with the Scorpius Whirlwind, who is hunkered down inside the big ruins of one of the former buildings of this city. He's going to be laying down fire as these guys move up as quickly as they can across the board, because they are, this side of the battlefield are facing off against what can only be described as the biggest blob of robots you've ever seen in your entire life. We have the Warlord over here on top of the building, so I need this guy to die quite quickly with their little turrets. And then the what? Castleax.
He's attached to the Castleax.
So yeah, he's attached into the Castleax. And then we've got the Thanatar and all of the squishy units for the Mechanicum with the second of command hunkered down in there. So I think that Winters is trying to bait me into coming over here and trying to kill all these off, because they are fearless, so they're not going to be running away. And then finally we have the other Thanatar, the Castleax and Thanatar.
Yeah.
Really got it right. On this side. But then that does leave me with quite a nice open gap of battlefield to try and get my troops into deployment. So these guys are going to be moving up to get into mine. I'm going to be moving up to get into theirs. This is Shatter Strike. I think we're going to probably meet about here and kill each other. Last of the Mechanicum units, the Thalax, are going to be deep striking in. And the... what was it again? Thorax. I really will learn these names at some point. Is outflanking. So I've got them to contend with. So thinking maybe down where it's a bit more sparse. The tactical squad, who are unopposed on the right hand side of the battlefield, have actually ran forward. Kind of did it in the movement phase just to speed things up. So they ran 3 inches. So they're on their way. Might take them some time if I keep rolling threes in the run move. This squad, I have stayed still. I'm not moving these yet. I want to see what Winters does and where he brings on his deep strike and outflanking units when it's time. And then I will run them up the battlefield, hopefully in time to secure me some victory points. The Terminators have smashed their way through the door in the ruin and are making their way up. They've got a bit of scenery to clamber over and stuff, and I'm sure the Cataphractii Terminator arm will get in their way and they'll stumble and fall. Next, basically everything has kind of moved up. So the Dreadnought, the Spartan and the other tactical squad have all moved up. So I'm going to be firing my Spartan and the jet bikes that are zoomed up. They've changed their angle slightly. They don't want to be totally in the open. So they are in the ruined cathedral. They are looking down at the big blob of Mechanicum, hopefully going to be putting down lots of fire. And then obviously this guy has not moved. He's got a good line of sight through the windows. I can't possibly work out where I'm going to be landing the shell. Nope, I still don't know where I'm going to be putting that shell yet. The Scorpius Whirlwind, back of the battlefield, hidden away in the building, and the speeders have opened up at these guys down here. I think I killed off 10 from the 10 of them, 4 of them there, but they are fearless, they're not running off. I also managed to put a wound on the second in command, so I will take that quite nicely. The Spartan opened up with his las cannons, causing a wound, 2 wounds on that one. I think the heavy bolters managed to do some damage to there as well. So at the end of turn 1 for the Ultramarines, we've managed to cause a bit of a hole, bit of a gap in the big blob of Mechanicum down there. Quite happy with that.
Some of my stuff has moved forward. Big blob, Castellax. That was pretty much it. I was also done my cybertheurgy rolls, and the Warlord and the second in command has healed that lead Castellax there with Rite of Eternity. The game is Shatter Strike, so I need to get as many of my units up into his deployment zone as possible while stopping his units coming down into my deployment zone. That's why I deployed all the way over on this right flank here, denying a lot of shots, denying a lot of the attacks of his armies. I think if I meet most of his force, or half of his force with most of my force, I should be able to push through all of this, shouldn't I? 95% of the Mechanicum versus 50% of the Ultramarines sounds like a solid tactic, but priorities for me are getting rid of that Scorpius in there, and with enhanced targeting on these guys, they -1 to cover saves. Of course, the Thanatars can fire up and over as well. That'd be one of the big threats gone, and the other big threat that I'm worried about is the Primarch. So for me, the plan is quite simple: try and destroy as much as possible. Let's go on to the shooting phase. Let's pull the trigger. Into the shooting phase for the Tagmata, firing through the window there with Dark Lance weaponry, which had -1 to cover save, and I have stunned the Scorpius, which will stop its stupid shell firing in and up and over at me this turn. And then a lot of firepower. These little chaps ran forward. A lot of firepower from the Castellax and the sentry turrets, and the Myrmidons flew in on the bikes, and they had a 2+ save, so they tanked a lot of it, but ultimately they could not weather that amount of firepower. And then 1 shell from the Thanatar flew up and killed 3 there, and another shell came in and only killed 1 of these Cataphracti because they have a 4+ invulnerable save. So it wasn't the most impressive display of firepower, and obviously these little guys are about to get charged by some Terminators or Invictus Squad and Gulliman, but that's the plan. He can wade into this squad here, and then these guys should be able to counterpunch him. The only other bit of news is the second of command recovered his wound back with It Will Not Die. So mixed fortunes at the end of turn 1. Let's move on to Ultramarines at turn 2.
The unopposed tactical squad have ran again. 4-inch charge, 4-inch run this turn, so that's always good. So they're almost there. They literally just need to pass that line to get me 2 victory points. So they are almost there. The squad that was hunkered down in the building, the chaplain has seen his opportunity to move forward, so he's given the command. They are on their way. They are out and heading up to their objective, which is just get across the field as quickly as possible, boys. The Terminators have all moved up, managed to roll 3 when we move through cover roll, so they're up, but only a little bit. Dreadnought is moved up over the barricades, looking down at the squad down here. I get the impression there might be some combat action once they've suffered firing from the 3rd tactical squad that have moved up. So firing into their first, soften them up before the Dreadnought goes in. And the Spartan has moved round the side of the wrecked cathedral. His front armour is still pretty much on show, so there's going to be one of the side sponsons, and the heavy bolters coming in here. And obviously my whirlwind needs to drop its template of doom somewhere. Or it's stunned, so it can't actually do what I just said. Spartan has opened up, killing off 3 of the squad here. More casualties were taken here from this squad that had managed to get inside the ruined cathedral. They took a melt shot from the Contemptor, and they also took bolter shells from the tactical squad. It leaves me a 9-inch charge with my Contemptor Dreadnought, but stranger things have happened with my rolling with assault rolls. Terminators have obviously not in range of anything. I decided to run these guys, so these guys have ran up 5 inches, so they're on their way. They've slightly changed angle, going to try and join up with their brothers just in case anything nasty does come in, so we can fury the Legion the hell out of anything that comes in on that side of the board. The Contemptor Dreadnought made it into combat, got 3 hits as he went in. Unfortunately, I rolled 3 1s, so nobody died. So these guys have moved up and consolidated into the combat and are fearless. So yeah, that's him going to be locked up for probably the rest of the battle, trying to squish and kill those little guys.
Start of turn 2 for the Mechanicum, and the Vorax is on this flank, outflanking. He's got his Rag Cleanser, that's a Flesh Bane, so I'm going to be wounding a lot of these guys on 2s. He's also out of Cortex Control alert range. I can't charge this turn, but he's going to be charging after and shooting after anything within 12 inches of him. That should keep this unit honest, which was rampaging down towards my lines. Should be able to lock him up. He's also a fearless monstrous creature, so that's AP2 close combat attacks. That unit could potentially be in trouble. And talking about trouble, Cyberthurgy went off for this Thanatar and that Thanatar. They're going to be firing both of their big shells twice. So that's going to be 4, Strength 8, AP2, Ordnance Barrage coming down in amongst the Ultramarines lines, potentially over here or over here. Last turn the shooting wasn't so successful. This turn it should be brutal. These Castellax are now in range with their EP3 guns of that squad there. And the second in command broke away from this squad of Thralls and has joined the elites, the Myrmidon Secators. The reason for that is because Gulliman and his Invictarus, those guys, they're probably going to charge in to the Thralls next turn. So I didn't want him locked up straight away. I want to pick and choose my fights, not be dictated to by the Legion. I think I'm going to leave this squad just locked up in assault with that Contemptor. I think that's it for the rest of the game. And let's fire some shots in on that Scorpius and kill it. End of the Mechanicum shooting phase and the Scorpius is dead. Shots from the dark fire cannons through the windows have wrecked it. And then the turrets opened up along with the Myrmidon Secators at the squad of tactical marines that were there, wiping out a chunk of them, and the rest are falling back. And then Thanatar number 1, Thanatar number 2, and the Castellax opened up in these 2 squads here, and 3 out of the Cataphracti have died, and every single one in this squad of tactical marines has died. The chaplain tanked a couple of his wounds on his 4+ and vulnerable save. They've passed morale, they have. He's fearless, but there is a big chunk all of a sudden missing in the Ultramarines lines. That squad decimated, Cataphracti's hurt, this squad decimated, and then along here, the Vorax with his rotor cannons and the Rad Cleanser has taken a chunk out of this squad that believed it could make its way all the way down to my lines unimpeded. So we knew it would be a brutal shooting phase. There's a big gap in the middle of the Ultramarines lines. The Contemptor's locked up. Gulliman is yet to speak. Fortunately for the Ultramarines, the Thanatars will not be able to fire next turn because that Cyberthurgy ability means they fire twice this turn, but not next turn. So it won't be as brutal next turn. And while there is a chunk of the Ultramarines missing, it is Shatter Strike. I need to get up into his part of the table to score victory points. Even if just one of these little Marines gets down here, a scoring unit, that's 2 points. A denial unit, that's 1 point. I need to somehow get up there. The Thalax are still deep striking, so maybe they can get up there and win. Maybe Gulliman is going to get into combat in the next turn and just smash through the castle in the backfield.
At the end of Winters' turn, we forgot about the assault, so the Dreadnought managed to kill one more of the guys off there. Yeah, that's going to go on for a while. Into movement, these guys have rallied. They are back in the fight. They're a long way off from where they need to be. Over this side of the battlefield, the Chaplain and the Terminators have stayed apart. They're separate. This guy that has outflanked has kind of annoyed me. He needs to die. So there's going to be shots from the Chaplain, Terminators if they're in range, and then these guys, possibly Fury of the Legion. However, I am a toe into the deployment zone of the Mechanicum, so that will be 2 victory points for me at the end of the turn. The Spartan has moved up. The Invictara squad and Gulliman are out. They are ready. They are looking at bringing the fight close quarters, getting in and killing off the Mechanicum in the middle of the board. I am going to try and thin this squad down with as much las cannon heavy bolter fire as humanly possible before taking in the Primarch. The Chaplain opened up with his plasma pistol, hitting and causing a wound. The Terminators opened up as well, not managing to do any damage whatsoever. And then I decided to Fury the Legion these guys. So there were 17 shots because I'm an Ultramarine and because these guys have hit. It means I can reroll any ones. Yep, no wounds. I got 5 5s, I think, in the end, something like that. Yeah, no 6s to wound him, so yay me. These guys have obviously rallied, so they couldn't do anything. Over here, the Spartan opened up with his las cannons. This guy right at the back of the board, failing to do any damage, but the heavy bolter at the front opened up and I think killing off 1. And then the bolt pistols from here and the Arburator pistol from Gulliman opened up at the same squad, killing off I think another 3. So it's going to be over to assault. We have the loggerhead going on down there. We have the Invictara squad and Gulliman going into that squad. And then I'm going to attempt to get my Chaplain in over here. The Chaplain failed it into combat by 1 inch. I rolled a 7 and he did an 8. So a little bit annoying. This guy's still free roaming around the battlefield. On better news with the Contemptor, I actually managed to kill 2 of the guys. So he's almost free. It might take me another 8 turns. But Gulliman and the Invictara squad made it into the squad or the unit that Winters was goading me with. And basically with the Gladius Invictar sword, Gulliman just smashed them. There were 2 guys left in the Invictara squad, finished them all off. So they've consolidated 6 inches to the base of the building. Can't think where they might be going next.
In the Mechanicum movement phase, the Thalax have made it to the party. I'm in his deployment zone and I'm going to get some shots on this tactical squad here. And the Vorax has to close in on the closest unit within 12 inches, which is his Chaplain. So that's very simple. That gets me a couple of points. Here's a couple of points for Richard. And because of Shattered Strike, if he gets a squad in there, plus Gulliman in the backfield getting in my deployment zone, he's going to win this game. So I have to stop Gulliman. So my second in commander with the Myrmidons is going to put round after round after round in that squad, along with the turrets, along with the Darkfire cannons. I have got line of sight down through at this squad there. I have to do all I can to try and clear him away. So even the Thanatar is going to go in there as well and try and take him out. If he gets his toe in my deployment zone, I don't think I'm going to get any of more of my units apart from those Thalax up in his deployment zone, and he'll win the game. And that Contemptor, if he manages to clear his way through all of these things, he could potentially get in my deployment zone as well. Remember, the Thanatars are not firing with their big gun this turn. It's not like I can charge the Castellax, run them up the field either, because as soon as they get out of 24-inch range of the Cortex controller, once they get there, they'll turn around and come back towards the Contemptor, or come back towards the Spartan, or make their way over there towards the Cataphracti. They can get baited quite easily, Mechanicum. They are fairly mindless. So while there's stuff happening in the backfield, it's all about the Primarch and this Invictus squad. Can they weather the firepower I'm about to unleash? Let's pull the trigger. In the shooting phase, the Thalax picked on these 3 tactical marines there, killing a couple of them, and the remaining guy ran away after seeing these come screaming down from the sky. And then round here, the Vorax did nothing. And then round here, these and everything else fired down in the Invictus squad. And I killed them all and took a couple of wounds off Rupert Gulliman, and now we've got a charge coming on. Just a point of note, the Malagra will have 7 attacks on the charge and preferred enemy characters, but Rupert Gulliman, well, he's a beast. He's toughness 6, so he won't be insta-killing him with his power fist. This is going to be brutal. Let's see how this ends. In the assault phase, the Vorax killed the chaplain but took a wound to Overwatch on the way in, and then over here, no wounds on either side. He's got Murderous Strike, that chance to insta-kill that toughness 6 Arch Magos Prime Malagra, but I made my 3+ invulnerable saves, and then a number of attacks coming back in. I'm strength 5, he's toughness 6, 5s to wound, but all my attacks are AP 2, so it was hard to wound him. And all the wins that I did get in, he made his 4+ invulnerable save. So I'm locked up with the Primarch, with the Avenging Sun. Potentially he could slay my second in command. He gets +1 weapon skill for every round of combat. The Myrmidons are stubborn. I should be locked up with him for a long time and prevent him getting into my deployment zone. Should. But he is a Primarch.
The Terminators have come round. The Praetor's just seen his fellow HQ choice, the Chaplain, fall in combat with this guy. He's got 1 wound left. He is looking for revenge. He's also far too close to the deployment zone, so this guy needs to go, be taken off the battlefield. So hopefully the Terminators will kill him. This squad has basically consolidated in and spread out because I'm guessing some fire will be coming their way. They are securing me 2 victory points at the moment. The Contemptor is obviously locked up in combat, and so is Gulliman. However, the Spartan has moved up. Its las cannons are looking at their big guys. I think I need to start killing these off now to clear the board for me. That's not going to be decided before the end of the battle. The Spartan opened up with his las cannons on the Castellas at the back, taking off 3 wounds, so he's down to 1. He's almost gone. He's almost dead. In assault, I took 2 more wounds on Gulliman. He's down to 2 wounds and inflicted none back. Yeah, don't want to talk about that. That was bad. But over here, the Vortex died in combat to the Vorax died in combat to the Terminators. So at least that side of the board's a little bit more secure. Currently have this squad down here scoring me 2, but then Winters has this squad hiding away down here in the building, scoring him 2. So it's going to be down to secondary objectives. I think maybe the Attrition one, maybe slay the Warlord. We'll have to wait and see.
Admech movement and shooting phase, lance fire and barrage fire came up and over into this squad here, killing a chunk of them, but they held their morale check. Out of line of sight for the Thanatar, so that was a bad round of fire, some scattering there. And Thalax, who are deep in the Ultramarines deployment zone, fired down at the Cataphracti and didn't wound them. They've got assault packs, so they're going to jump down and hide back in cover in the assault phase. One of them took a wound to dangerous terrain as they jumped up. And that was it for the shooting phase. Oh, the only other thing of note that happened is my Castellax are running like buggery towards his deployment zone. I need to kill this. This is worth 2 points. That's worth 2 points, but it's a draw. And then there's War of Attrition. We'll count up how many units each side has destroyed to figure out, if it's 2 points each, to figure out who gets the tiebreaker. And Gulliman and the Spartan are worth a crap ton of points, so I might not be winning. Anyway, let's go on to the assault phase. This Primarch's on 2 wounds left. Can the Dark Mechanicum drag him down? At the bottom of turn 4, Primarch Roberta Gulliman has been dragged down. That's slay the Warlord, and this is the way the world ends. The Archmagos Prime Malagra managed to tank every single one of his attacks on his 3+ invulnerable save. He was lucky. He was lucky. That energy shield with a Cyber Familiar holding firm. And because of that, yes, the Ultramarines could get 2 points there and push forward with the Spartan and get 3 points there. But I've got 2 points back here, and with Slay the Warlord, I will be on 3 points. And then it comes down to War of Attrition. We count up the number of destroyed units. And the army with the most units remaining gets an extra point. So that'll be 4 points to the Mechanicum, 3 points to the Ultramarines. If we went on to turn 5, and we're not, we're calling it there. So at the end of that brutal battle, the Ultramarines could not push through the Mechanicum lines, though they tried. They tried very, very hard. I think it was turn 2 in the shooting phase. There were some brutal shots coming in from those Thanatars. I want to thank Richard very, very much for allowing me to come down and guest narrate and fight his wonderful Ultramarines force. But ultimately it was a bad day. It was a brutal day for the Sons of Ultramar, and the Dark Mechanicum win it.
So there we go then, guys. As Wynn's already said, that is the end of the battle. My Ultramarines took a bit of a thumping in that. Gives me scope to go, right, okay, I really need to get myself and Flyer done. I need to bring some more units in, maybe expand a couple as well. So yeah, big thank you to Winters for coming up and taking on my Ultramarines and spanking me 6 ways from Sunday. Always appreciated. If you like that one, guys, please leave us a like, leave us a comment. And as always, we will see you on the next one.